All right, that is it, my people. Pleasant good night. All YouTube land, you gonna serve. Same way. Yeah, man. Prince of Radio Show fans. Pleasant good night. Each and everybody. Yeah, man. My respect. Thank you so much for having me as your host. Yeah, man. DJ 29 building tonight. And tonight is the continuation of the topic last week. We do same way. Yeah, man. When I jump in on your live, same way. Give us a like, share the live, drop something in the chat so we know who you are, so you can be the lucky winner of a credit. Alright? Yeah, man, most definitely. Most definitely, my people. You see me? But welcome back to the show, another Monday. Twin Supreme Radio Show fans. They are a bit tired, you know? Yeah, but still there. Alright, so we continue seeing me. Goofy's Garage Bar, South Spring Road. Finest Mechanical and Bodywork Service each and every week. Same here. Yeah, man. Yeah, don't forget Inside Graphic Tees over the pan IG. Go and support them. Yeah, man. They up on yourself. Yeah, man. Bola and Boss Entertainment. All the water lane studios. I can check them out. See me. Yeah, man. Mixtape. Mix. Video editing. Video shooting. And a whole bag of things. See me. Learn about digital money. Yeah, man. Around here at Waterloo Studios. Yeah, man. Big up yourself. Make Bola and Boss Entertainment. Don't forget Fresh Kitty and more. First person drop something in the chat automatically win themselves a digital line credit. So first somebody upon your live just drop something in the chat so you know who you are and then eligible to win a credit if only if you are Jamaican. Alright, CME. Don't forget again Fresh Kitty and more. Yeah man, over there on IG CME. There's the you can check out Fresh Kitty and more for the pills, for the yeast infection CME. The pum pum wash, the soap, the oil, CME, isn't it? Yeah man, young ladies learn how to treat the coochie. Yeah, man, special. All right, CMA. Don't forget classic. Alexa's classic swimwear. Yeah, Alexa's classical swimwear. Yeah, over there on IG. Go and check them out. Have swimwear from age 12, 6 to 12 year old. So young girls, 12, 6 to 12. Yeah, man, you can check out Alexa's classic swimwear over there on IG as well. Yeah, man. Don't forget stunted watch and accessories. Actually, big up yourself. Love what go on. Love your business, love your progress. Yeah, man. That is it. Really. So this week we go get we get them back on the phone again. Same way we have BJ Twin, we have Latanya Love getting on the phone line. Same way we're supposed to have vacant fans, but they reach out to him earlier and we never get back a feedback. But it's all good. We're here and we're in the building. Same way, learning about oneself, educating themselves about oneself. Same way. It's been a journey. It takes a lot of work. And that's why 99.9% of people who are successful, same way. And that's why I know we're more successful than we're supposed to be already. Same way. Because it takes a lot of work. And hard work, not easy work. It take a lot of hard work, same way, isn't it? Take a lot of discipline, take a lot of dedication, isn't it? Yeah. So all of this come to one, same way. Understand, say, success is not easy. Success is hard because if success was so easy or success was easy, we have more people that have it all. Yeah, man. That's why we people that have it, meaning all of who have it actually take a part and decide to go down this path regard more of what happened, regard more of the challenges, regard more of hard time, regard more of down time, regard more of up time, regard more of doubts, regard more of everything to see the aspect of what can happen along the way in terms of challenges, obstacles. Yeah, yeah, man. So it's a journey, isn't it? I have to work hard for earning, isn't it? But my guest, big up yourself, see you're in a ghost mood tonight. I don't know why, but really appreciate you being here. Yeah, man, big up yourself. See you here. Yeah, man. First person drop something in the chat tonight automatically win themselves a credit. See you here. So, all right. Big up yourself, butter. Cheap butter in the building. Yeah, man. Thank you for being here. Yeah, man. But it's a Jamaican. All right. Big up yourself. Big up yourself. Any Jamaican in the building tonight, drop something in the chat, automatically with yourself a credit. Just like that. I don't want to say you, but you never drop nothing in the chat. So if you was the first person there, you never drop nothing in the chat. So if, that's why I say that. So I just use it as a form of reference to make you get active. Yeah, man, come on up, people. You know, so we communicate within the chat same way. Love tar. I first me see good night. I first me see something. I first me see that person tonight. First me see that person. CMA. So just let me know who you are. If you are Jamaican CMA, which one I credit to use for Lime or Digicel. If you're not subscribed, you can go and subscribe to the channel CMA likewise. Really appreciate it. You know, it's the first I've seen this name ever. Alright, so big up all out there. All who not reach it, big up on yourself same way. First person, local person as a Jamaican to drop something in the chat automatically win a credit. Lime or Digi, whichever one. Alright, so come on, participate my people. Yep. So without no further ado, let's get into the show. See if we can make some calls and add some calls. Yep. So we're gonna get the two guests on the phone same way. We like to have we guests them same way, you know the communication. Already how we do it same way. 4 people there same way. Big up on yourself. Yeah man, DJ King, all on the mad Latanya. You see me? Alright. 4 person there already in a chat same way. So drop something in the chat. Alright, welcome DJ Twin, welcome Latanya Love. So part 2 of the show from last week. Same way. Introduce yourself, Latanya Love, you first.
Yeah, good night. I'm Latanya. Thank you for having me tonight.
Welcome back. Yeah, man. DJ Twin.
One blessings, man.
You sound like your phone sound like a bit off tonight. We don't know, you sound very far from the phone.
You know, hear me good?
Yeah, man, yeah, you look better now.
I say blessings, respect. Good night to everybody continuing Supreme Radio Show. And big up to the co-guest host, just to see him, Latanya Love, respect.
Definitely.
Yes, respect.
Definitely. Yeah, man. So welcome back, guys. You know, we have part 2 of the show. Do you think we really know who we are? See me, and this is part 2 because last week was very long. Sorry about that, people, you know, go. After a long day of work, yeah. But we still make it work just the same, just to show, you see. Just see people, them just see come out and, you know, represent themselves same way. And the work and the task we take on and same way. I'm going to say, we are trying to build a community of people where have like mind, like conversation, same way. You see me? What mindset, you see me? Are willing to work with each other, you see me, communicate and grow from our current position and situations into better. Alright? Yeah man. So welcome guys. Welcome back to another show, another video to Supreme Radio Show fans. Glad so they are seeing tonight again. So let's go into the show. Who wants to start tonight? Latanya or DJ Twin? Who wants to start it off tonight? What
Latanya
then?
can go ahead because they probably get something organized on my phone and check some emails and some this so I take care. So she can go ahead now.
I don't know if who out there on the platform they hear clean or very clearly, but DJ Twin sound a little bit low, very low this week. You see me? Yeah.
You know,
What then?
understand
Big
that
up
because I
yourself,
got never
CMA.
made phone. You know, hear me good?
Yeah, man, I hear a loud now, CMA. What them in the building all the way from England, CMA. Yeah, man, it's been a while, but you know, I mean, say you're up tonight, CMA, just to be sure. Yeah, man, the day, man, you see me? Do you think we really know who we are as people? CMA, what them this are part two, so I same show continues from last week. Yeah, man. So we can expound on the thoughts in the chats. Alright, for all who in the chats, just conversation in the chat so you see what I'm going on. Latanya love.
Yeah, this was a very good, powerful topic. Even after the conversation last week, I've just pondered on it. And kind of to expand, I think I initially said, yeah, sure, we absolutely know who we are. And I still feel that way. I still feel that inevitably we all know deep down inside, but we don't fully comprehend the power that we have as people, as individuals. Not fully, because I think DJ Twin made the comment, and it kind of had me thinking further that if we really knew who we are and the power that we possess, then we would act, we would live, we would walk different.
Yeah.
We would walk in power. And so after, some further contemplation on the topic, I absolutely feel like we don't completely or wholly as a people and individuals know how powerful we are.
Okay. Can agree with that. Can definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and the reason for saying it is actually like observing, like for most people don't really observe their surroundings and like what's truly going on. And actually that's been a part of my journey for the past 5 years, like observing and taking notes of like everything that I do. And it actually strayed from like going through a lot of hardships,
So
like
you can talk a little
especially
louder.
living. I really not understand why not in a sound so loud. Hold on. I think I got what's going on. Hold on 1 second. Are you hearing me better now? Louder now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm saying I think nothing. This all stems from like going through some hardships and difficulty, like moving from Jamaica, making that transition to living into the US. So like the whole process has been like it was like difficult at first, and then like to be taking notes and documenting the whole journey and whatever the case is actually teach me that I'm actually speaking about myself in most instances when I say like we don't know so much because we really don't take ourselves that serious or the world that we live in, understanding the power and unity and the power and understanding like the grounding of the foundation, like how to really understand you have to have a base and then actually relate that back to nature and then building a house. And then that kind of like simplify it in my mind to show me that, okay, cool. Because I realized that at some point in my life, I'm worried about the roof. And I'm like, if I don't have a foundation, then I can't be worried about the roof because without the foundation, you can't build the sides of the walls. So, you know what I mean? It's just like these different illustrations coming along and then reading so many books, you know what I mean? Learning so many different information. Then a lot of stuff start coming together based on understanding. So that's something that actually helped me to, you know what I mean, kind of define like myself to understand other people, because if you understand yourself more, you understand other people and the way they relate, you know what I mean? And then when you go and associate yourself with like many different people, you realize so much people in this world is not on the level, especially your peers. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced like being around your peers, and then you're observing where they are mentally and how they cope and how they deal with situations, and you're looking at it like, but I'm light years ahead of this. Like I don't even think like this. I would never do something like without even understanding what I'm doing or even thinking about it. Like, and then that kind of like enlightened me, like, yo, like the information that I've been receiving for so long and putting it together, dissecting it, and all these different ways of dealing with it, like helped me to really be like light years ahead of like most of our peers and a lot of people that we are around based on the frequency and energy, and also like learning the analogy of learning to let things go. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, it finally came together because once I heard that analogy, like learning to let things go, it sounds simple. But when somebody said, like, you know what I mean, like you have to learn to be a monkey, and that was kind of confusing. I was like, what do monkey do? Monkey, if you're a monkey and you're climbing, you got to let the lower limb go to swing to grab onto the higher limb. And you always have to let something go to grab onto something else, because if you're holding on to one thing, you can't hold on to nothing else. So that's a stagnant process of not moving, not learning, you know what I mean, not creating anything, not creating any value for yourself or for others. So all these different information actually helped me to, you know what I mean, kind of see life to a different lens. And I'm actually looking to like stuff that I've been through, you know what I mean, the whole roller coaster process of up and down. And you know what I mean, sometimes, yeah, it's all looking good, and then you find out, like, when you level up, you find out, say, you're on the ground again, if you understand what I mean. Like, the aisle. So analogy for leveling up and being on the ground is like building a house again. And, you know, when you finish the foundation, you build out, you put on the roof, and you move on to the second floor. The second floor, the roof up where you're at right now, the second floor is going to be the ground, right? For that new floor that you're at. So like when you're leveling up, you find yourself like on the ground again. Like for me, like I level up to a different stage of my life right now, and I find myself on the ground again, and I'm like trying to figure out like why am I on the ground, but I'm realizing like I'm not on the first floor, I'm on the second floor, so I'm on the ground on a different level. So a lot of persons couldn't even understand like what I'm going through mentally with the different challenges that I'm having with myself. You know what I mean? Trying to figure out like how to articulate that, how to put all these pieces of the puzzles together so I can understand better how to cope with, even deal with myself based on where I'm at. Because yes, you're on the second floor, but you're still on the ground. So basically, I still have to build up more walls and then build up a whole new roof to get to the top again of a different level. So like these are stuff that most people, you know what I mean, like not going to understand until you go through these different phases and whatever the case is. That's how like my mind pretty much like construct things to make me kind of like understand it better, and then I can like articulate it in that way through like different analogies so people can maybe understand better from where I'm coming from. So that is the way I was trying to bring it across last week. So you know what I mean, somebody, other people like you or other people listening could understand where I'm coming from and what do I mean, because I'm not trying to say like most people don't understand themselves. It's just not to the level or degree we think we do. I just think we don't.
Yeah, I agree at that. I agree to that. Same here. Chi Butter say, I understand. The way I understand, you expound upon that same way. Vicky, big up yourself. Thank you for being here. Isn't it? It's been a while. Yeah, same way. Butter, same way. What them? Somebody else out there don't know who exactly, but drop something in the chat so you know who they are, same way. You guys can communicate in the chat, same way. Participate in our chats, man. So what you have to say in our chat so you can read out on the show. Same way. Latanya, love.
Yeah, thank you. There, you touched on a lot of the mini nuggets there. Definitely, you made it very understandable and thought provoking. Most certainly, you said something. You were saying how when you're growing and you're going through the different stages, and you look around at your friend, and you realize that hey, you're light years ahead of them, and sometimes along the journey you find yourself alone. And sometimes that alone time is good to allow yourself to grow and to allow yourself to even understand that there are different levels, and that getting started back on the ground floor again, but being on the second level and going through that growth process and those growth spurts again is part of also the understanding slowly and more who you are when you're being intentional about your growth and about learning and about self. It all begins with self. You touched on that as well. Is that one of the most important things I think each of us have to understand as individuals is it starts with the man in the mirror, as Michael Jackson said. It really does. You have to first love yourself before you can love anyone else, and work on yourself for that growth and understanding of who you are and growing in that power and living in it, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Um, there's just there's just different levels. And I think when we refer to levels, like people tend to take offense because I've had so many conversations with people, and I'm saying, if somebody says to you like, "Oh, you're not on my level," people tend to take offense. And from my perspective, I think nothing is wrong with that, because if somebody work for something, like, why can't they say, "Yo, I've worked for this and I have the right to, what I mean, to whatever I've worked for." And I think we live in a society where people don't think you should say, "Yo, you're on a different level," or whatever. So we try to use the word frequency, where some people just don't understand really what you mean when you say on a different frequency. So so that I try to use more like the word frequency, like when my brain is all together, when I'm like, okay, conversating or politicking with different people, and like reading the room and figuring out the level that they're communicating on. Not in a disrespectful way, but it's just because like people tend to. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced it, like being around people, like, and then like you cannot understand like the way they think like anymore, just because you're just not on that level no more. Like the way they're thinking is like, it's mind boggling, and you're literally trying to get it, and it's like, this is just not making any form of sense. Like logically, it's just not making any sense. And then like you're trying to expound that to the person, and the person just thinking like you're being like you're deeming like you're better than them, and it's like, how do I deal with this situation? I think that's something we experience based on, what I mean, like getting all these informations and whatever, and that's also a challenge with being who you truly are, what I mean, and trying not to offend people or whatever the cases are. Just common people coming in to your life every day, and feeling or thinking they have the right to, what I mean, oppose themselves on you, and you can't do it with them. So that's also a challenge in being yourself that I've experienced also.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see the level, when you say level, how it could be offensive. It shouldn't be, but I could see how it could be, because there's that inferiority in just by definition. If I'm on, level 5 and you're on level 1, then then now not that I think I'm better than you, just based on definition, I am ahead of you. So I think that part of knowing who you are and standing in your power is being mindful enough to try to adjust, so as not to offend, but not too much that you lose the point, or that you lose the what you're trying to get across in a loving way. Because I think if we don't talk about it, if we don't deliver the message, then we're not being true to who we're not just called to know the information.
I beg to differ. I beg to differ on that, because my opinion is, I don't think truth should be bowing to anything else. It's like what we're experiencing in the world right now, where people think they should oppose whatever they are opposing, are imposing, I should say, on people, and then you can't be truthful to them or let them know exactly what it is. Um, I don't think people are open to understand that logic is logic. It's not about how you feel or whatever the case is, and that's something I think a lot of people have to grow up for. I think I got a perfect analogy for that, and I'm not sure. Like, do you have like a extra device you could go online and look up the word humble and read out the meaning of the word humble? Something that they have imposed on us as a good word that we have all been using for years, and thinking like I'm a person that always say I'm humble, because like I'm a twin, and like me and my twin brother always have these different disagreements over the years, and I'm always the humbler one out of us when it comes down to like controlling emotions or whatever the case. So I always like use this term as humble, and then like somebody made a suggestion about it, and then I looked up the meaning after hearing a certain conversation. I was like, wait, like, do we really know the meaning of a lot of the words that we are using that they impose on us as people? So I think that's also a part of the thing, as they telling us that the word level means, or people have this perception of the word level means you're better than But you still got to understand there's levels in life, whether we want to understand or believe or care about it. There are levels in life. And if you're not there, why should you impose you not being there on somebody that's there to tell them they're not supposed to say it?
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair, because like if you want to be politically correct, like if somebody if a doctor go to school to be a medical doctor, and the person say, yo, okay, cool, you're a nurse and I'm a medical doctor, are you going to dispute the fact that that's a medical doctor and you're a medical nurse, that it's two different levels? No. The fact still is that the person worked to be on the doctor level and you work to be on the nurse level. So a person that hasn't worked to be on no level shouldn't be like, oh, well, you're hurting my feelings and you saying this makes me feel this way, or whatever the case is. So technically you got to like adjust yourself.
Come on, let's do this, my people. Support, CMA. Thank you so much for the follow, Kim. CMA, thank you so much for your likes, them Jody. Appreciate it. Top of the screen, my side. Really appreciate the tops. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. All right, TikTok people, and we're up on YouTube. Well, all that, and give me a minute. We're up on YouTube. We're up on Twin Supreme Radio Show. That's the name of the channel. So you guys, if you want to come over and support, would love the support on YouTube. CMA. You can go over, go like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you are Jamaican, you automatically win a credit to be a Jamaican. If you like, if you subscribe, first time subscriber automatically win a credit of their choice. Isn't it? Yeah. Continue, Latanya.
Okay, so humble is having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance, of low social, administrative, or political rank, lower someone in dignity or importance. That is the definition
of the word humble.
Of the word humble.
And how the word humble was taught to us as something like, you know what I mean, like not being disrespectful to people, but how would you put yourself after doing all that work in a lower? It's like lowering your own self-esteem for what?
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying that you should lower yourself or I just think that being mindful about your audience sometimes, because you want to get the point across, you want to be received, and everybody's not going to receive it. You can't really worry about that, but you do have to. It's like you were saying before. You use analogies in order to drive the point home. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do understand your point. Understand your point, but I'm saying we shouldn't have to be doing this. That's what I was saying. I think you kind of like gotta you got a different understanding from what I was saying. My understanding is I am saying we shouldn't have to keep on doing this, using this method all the time, because a lot of time if you realize what people do is they focus on the messenger versus the message. So if they were paying attention to the message, they'll be like, okay, this is a message for me. I'm not worried about the messenger. When you're focusing on the messenger now have to pretty much bow down to you for you to say, okay, I'm going to receive this. But also you still got to understand that in life, like life and time is not waiting on anybody. So okay, cool. Are you open to get the message and don't worry about the messenger? Are you going to focus on the messenger and get yourself and make that offend you that you don't even care what the message is, that you get so distracted by the messenger that you don't even care what is the message. Is this message good for me or not? I think that's a big part of what we experience in this society that we live in, and that's that's the mass majority of the people that we communicate with on a day-to-day basis. Why we have so much disconnect in this world, you know what I mean, and people not even being able to be themselves, because even though like we have these different agendas going on and narrative that's been pushed. It's like people telling themselves, "Oh, I am being myself," but at the end of the day, they're asking somebody to believe, to tell somebody, "You have to believe in what I'm saying." If I am myself, I don't have to ask anybody to believe in what I am saying. I don't need it.
Yeah,
I don't need it.
Right.
So that's the whole point or even conversations like these. Go ahead.
You want to go speak, Latanya?
She was trying to say something, but I was trying to finish a point. I didn't realize I was cutting her off. So
No. I was just agreeing with what you were saying. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. No.
I was just finishing that point.
Someone on a lower frequency would tell you to be humble. Someone that say somebody on a lower frequency will tell you to be humble.
Definitely, because but a lot of people don't even understand the true meaning of humble, because humble was given to us as a good word, like something used like as a word good. Like you never hear anybody use humble as a bad word before. But if you really look on the real meaning of humble, it doesn't mean something really powerful. It doesn't.
Yeah.
But
Because you're lowering yourself.
You're lowering yourself.
Yeah.
So how is humble used? We have, like, even me. I'm guilty of this, using humble as a word, as a powerful word all the time. I used to, but I was doing it out of the ignorance of not knowing.
Yeah.
This is why they say information it give you access. You know what I mean? So the information of getting to understand and know that the word humble does not mean powerful, or does not mean anything enhancing yourself or the spirit. We as people are trying to enlighten in our soul. You know what I mean? To push ourselves to higher frequency, higher levels. Humble is not helping us to do that. So imagine where we are speaking things into being, saying we're humble as people, not realizing we're lowering our frequency just by using that word. Say I am. Imagine we know the power of the word I am, and then saying something else but behind it, right?
Right.
And then we have been conditioned to use this for so long, and why this was never pointed out, not even in schools, in any lessons at all, not even to teach us that, hey, listen, there are some words in the English language that we're programmed to use as powerful words that are not powerful. It is actually de-empowering. It's not helping us, but nobody teach us this. Why? It comes back to us after digging for our own information. And this is the reason why the shows like these are so powerful, because, like, people just tuning in and listening and be like, wait, I didn't know this.
True.
Like, because, like, a lot of people don't know a lot of information, you know. So, like, open conversations like these, like, people probably taking on a different frequency. It's helping other people to actually level up their frequency, or getting them on a higher level, as most people don't want to call it. But, you know what I mean? It is what it is.
Understandable, agreeable, bro. Same way, because up to the time that me never go do the analyze the analogy word. So basically, me kinda in shock, and me want to say disbelief, but you see me, in awareness, you see, I open up with the word and the meaning. Latanya, was you aware?
Yeah, our words are very powerful. Definitely have to, be very mindful of the things we speak.
Yes,
for sure. And one of the things that I'm working on changing is saying I am tired. Because you really feel in your body, that you're exhausted and you're tired. But when you there's the power of that I am. I don't want to speak I am tired over my life all the time.
Yeah. Because I guess
so every time. Yeah. Go ahead.
I guess it becomes tired when you affirm that I am now, to say yes, this is the state that I am in. Because when you use the word I am, that put you in a state. So maybe it's not for right now, but just saying that is like a set that for the future. You say I am tired, but not right now, but in the future, because you're just speaking now, so you know manifest at the same time. But it's out there and it's coming back.
And then you wonder why you're always tired. Exactly.
Because you said
it. Constantly, yeah. So the remembering the power of I am and what we put behind that word, and making sure that what we're speaking over our lives, and on a regular basis, that we're very careful about. And being careful, and I think it goes back to not necessarily, it's not humbling yourself, but being mindful of the words you speak in any given situation. You definitely just be aware of the power of the I am, and knowing and more and growing and learning and understanding, who you are, and understanding that you're always growing. A plant as a seed and a plant as a tree. Think of all the time and the different stages and growth that that tree has gone through, and understand that you, as a person, are the same way.
True. Powerful one.
Definitely why, for me personally, is I use the universe, for my guidance. Nowadays, for the past couple of years, my guidance has definitely come from the universe. Just the common sense of the world we live in. Because you know how people look at this other world as how bad people are, whatever the case is, but look at it from a lower level, as we consider it lower, on animal frequency. If we want to be realistic, fishes that we eat are cannibals because fish eat fish.
Mm.
A lot of people don't see that. The birds will fly around and pick on every smaller animal they can, roach, ants, whatever the case is. When the bird die, who eat him? The same ants come back and eat him. So it's like we live in a world where everything is just right in front of us. All we got to do is just really take a look into what nature is, and how trees grow and trees just fall down and die, and other trees is always there to replace them. We live in a world of a cycle, and we got to understand that we're just here to continue the cycle of the world that we live in. That's basically our job. Instead of focusing on so much, and how much we can do this or whatever the case is. If you're living in your true state, you just, do your part. Because I think everybody is here for, just as Vacant always say, everybody's a piece of the puzzle. You just got to figure out what pieces you carry and how you fit in, and just fit in and just play your role and just do your part and just keep it moving. I think that's a natural way of life that I'm seeing with nature and everything. And then I'm like, when I think about it like that, it kind of get me out of the whole state of anxiety, because sometimes it's a pressure to feel like you're not where you're supposed to be, and there's so much more for you to do, and this whole conquest type of mentality that life imposes on us mentally, that put you in the state of anxiety, and make you kind of feel a bit depressed or whatever. And I'm actually learning the whole different perspective of understanding where you at and who you are, and how to conquer stuff like these. And it actually just come back to look at nature. Nature never stops. And if you keep moving, anxiety and depression take time, leave you alone. If you look at the animals, they're always doing something. If you look on trees is always doing something. Everything in the universe is always doing something. They don't stop to be like us, to be like, oh, I'm not doing nothing. Let me just sit right here and just, sit in my mess and just, kind of wellness or a little bit. I think that's something that actually break us down mentally. And I'm speaking a lot about myself when I'm talking, because I have been through so many different phases of my life where a lot of times I question what's going on, who am I a lot of times, and then I still have to go back and remember I have a foundation that I stand on. And that is the reason why, no matter what I go through, I always have a solid standing. Because a lot of times I mess up, I get distracted, I do things that I'm not supposed to do or whatever the case is, I get off course and whatever. So a lot of people think yo, the way to articulate, yo, yeah, we know he at certain level. Yes, I'm at certain level, but yes, I also am a human too that get distracted and go through all these different phases. That's why I can explain it so good, because I'm experiencing all this. And life and experience is the best teacher, you see me? So to get back on your square, you always have to make sure you have a solid foundation where you can always go back to, and you know what I mean, kind of wheel it in and be like, okay, cool, let me ground myself and be like, okay, get back grounded so I can carry on the journey, you know what I mean, and live in my purpose. So that's why I will always stand on being yourself, is to find your true solid and create that foundation of who you truly are. So you always have that to go back to whenever you feel, you know what I mean, like you're in a state of disbelief, or, you know what I mean, truly not understanding what's going on in your life, of any confusion or whatever you got going on, you know what I mean. So that's the mental part of looking on yourself and creating that solid foundation where you can expand on, but you already have a foundation, and not changing every 5 minutes to do something else and to do something else. You can always expand on the foundation, but you already have one. So that's just my conclusion when it comes on to the whole thing. Like, just live naturally, you know what I mean, organically, and just do what's required based on how nature really needs it. And then you can, like, you're stress less, and you don't have to really worry about too much at that point.
Yeah, breathe. One of the things that I've learned, especially when it comes down to anxiety and distractions and the pressures of life, is to breathe, taking long deep breaths, because we're human, we having a human experience. And one of the things that I've come to realize is that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. Do I want to go higher? Do I want to do better? Do I want to do something? Yes, I have the opportunity, I have the chance to every day. Every day is a new day, a new opportunity to do better than I did yesterday. But I'm always right where I'm supposed to be. And trusting and knowing, especially when you are committed to doing the work, understanding yourself and loving yourself, and being gentle with yourself. And most of all, understanding how important rest is. Sometimes you need a distraction. You can't stay there, you can't stay there that long, or you get pulled back into the matrix. But rest is important. Sometimes those distractions are there to remind us that we're not there anymore. Yeah, this game that I started playing again, that I got away from for so why am I here again? I don't even like it. I'm wasting my time. But it's part of the journey, it's part of the process, and understanding that is part of growth as well.
I like that. That's a lot of like thought process to understand.
Yeah.
And when you said like we're exactly where we're supposed to be, I think the part of lesson that I'm getting from what you're saying is actually at a moment, and I speak about this on the show already, of learning that I've never had a loss before. I've only had lessons. So I always hear people talking about their L's and their W's, which is W's are they used to consider it as loss, but for me, I learned that all them L's for me is actually lessons. I've had so many different levels of lessons in life that actually teach me that. And when you're saying that we're exactly where we are for a reason, is because if it's not for this, where you at right now, when you get the greater good or the level up that you actually get later on that you're so happy for, you gotta be happy for these moments and for all the stuff that didn't happen that you wanted when you wanted them, you know what I mean? All the things that you said you wanted, but that, you know what I mean, got denied, or say, yo, no, this is not what you're gonna get, for you truly to get what you really wanted or what you really needed, you know, because like I don't think people really take a look back to celebrate all the victories that we get every day from the no's and the denials and people like not working with us and helping us or doing stuff that we think we wanted. I don't think most people ever take a look back to be like, yo, you know, I'm happy that, yeah, that this was actually a win. Versus we always get in our feelings when stuff get like not working out the way we think we wanted. And we'll be like, why not? And then later on, we're so happy and excited when we'll be like, oh, well, now I got this, so that don't matter no more. And we never take the time out to really think that we should celebrate those moments also. So even the distractions, as you're pretty much putting it right now, we should actually celebrate those distractions sometimes as a win, as long as we don't stay there.
Yeah.
Because some people, that's a downside to it, you know. You know what I mean? Staying there.
Yeah, true.
That's the downside that I'm looking at. Staying there is a downside to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, I like that too. The L's aren't losses, they're lessons, because we go through things for a reason, and it's important to acknowledge that, and it's not it doesn't happen the next day. You look back over your life, and yeah, definitely you got to celebrate all of those lessons and all those wins. There's just a book that I'm reading. There's value in the valley. You talk about the roller coaster of life, but in those down times, there's so much value in those little times. Those lessons are so valuable that once we're able to learn to celebrate, even when we're in the valley, because we know that it's only temporary. Just as much as we're so happy when we're up high and we can see the beautiful view and everything is great, also learn to celebrate and understand that how life comes in cycles and in flows. And that when we're up, we're happy, but when we're down, we also want to be happy. Because A is temporary, B is where we're supposed to be at that moment, and the lesson that we're learning. If we don't learn that lesson right in that time, then guess what? We're going to come around and have to learn it again. So celebrate that moment of downtime, or even when you're feeling low and you think you're depressed, or you think you're having anxiety. Sometimes we have to sit in it. Sometimes we have to be still and say, what is it that I'm supposed to learn from this? And that's how we continue to grow and prosper.
Thanks for that, Latanya, man. Big up yourself for that one. Definitely. I know somebody else is having a situation, somebody else is going through something to say, hey, I really needed to hear that. Yeah, man. Because sometimes I go through some situation, we keep it to ourselves, same way, but sometimes some conversation just come across where you need to hear. But so important, so valuable, same way. If you can cherish their moments, if you know, say, yo, you hear me? It's raining now, but it go stop. The sun go shine again, You're crying right now, but the sun go shine again, same way, isn't it? It's hot, but you don't know, say, after a long time of hotness, the rain go fall again, so you go get cool eventually. So you have to just appreciate the times and the moments. Celebrate both a failure them and the L's them, the lessons them same way, because they always convert into something way greater. Everybody always have something good to say. In a far end to say, yo, say if that never happened and this never happened. Oh yeah, yeah. And most people still not aware say these things make we be stronger as people, mentally, spiritually and physically. The journey, the down times, they know them. The people who turn their back where you're supposed to have your back, the people them where you think to be there, the people them where you want to be there, the people them where you think you need, when you're interested to be there. We build your character, build your vibe, build your vibe, build your state of mind to say, hey, don't be too dependent when it comes to people. Try if you put your independence funny in terms of how you deal with situation or how you put yourself out the same way. Be mindful, say I love people and you care about people, but yeah, you put yourself in our situation where all that what me say, all that alone in
Vulnerable.
a situation, yeah, vulnerable and alone in terms of how much you have put out, how much interest you alone have. Because
And
you alone being interested is a bit of cracker when it comes to friendship and relationship.
I think from that perspective,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually healthy for everybody to go through a phase of being alone. And I think people, when they hear being alone, people think loneliness. First thing they think is loneliness. And I had like a 2 year period of being alone, truly being alone, and not have to sit in solace. And then it was like, okay, what do you do? You know what I mean? I think that actually break down the best part of my life, and I will always say this journey of making the transition from leaving Jamaica to living in the US is the best 5 year of my life. When I say the best, it's the best because like the different phases and the different lessons that I've learned throughout the journey of like being alone, being somewhere where I don't have anybody to rely on but myself, and then I had to learn the difference. That whole phase teach me the difference between being alone and being lonely. And for the first couple of months, I was like, I felt like I was lonely, and then I realized like, me I gotta work every day, I do what me I do, and I'm like, actually, I'm loving this. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I grew a whole different respect for the word being alone because everybody needs that. Every single body, I think, in this world needs a moment to themselves. And also what I've learned from it is all these different phases and lessons that we go through is actually preparing us for the greater strength that we need to be the person we need to be later on. Because I've seen so many people that I've grown up with and so many people that I know self-destruct. A lot of people never talk about that aspect of the whole scenarios that they see people self-destruct. Why you think people self-destruct? Is because they don't know how to be by themselves. They don't know how to do anything without even people. So doing that journey, like people be like, oh, people this or people that. That's actually a good thing. And we all as people gotta understand, like, we look at the tree. You never hear the tree complain of any leaf that fall off. Because the leaf that fall off, he's already played out his role. So go back to nature again. You see me? And if we're looking at people, look at the people them like we all can. Me think everybody in the world can attest to this. Everybody that you see got something too easy, always lose it easy because guess what? If you've never been through these lessons of hardship, loneliness, all of these things, like you will never know how to appreciate things when it comes. Look at the man, the person that wins the lotto. You'll get 100 million right now and he'll be broke in 2 to 5 years, and you wonder how. But you don't know how to deal with all those different things that it comes with. Money is a byproduct of action. If you take action, you will always make money. But nobody taught us that. You see me? So once you continuously take action, once you want, that's why they tell you to focus your attention somewhere. You know what I mean? And be like, okay, this work on your craft, and you will make more money from that. You see me? But a lot of us we never learn that aspect, so we still have to. We still have to be like, okay, cool. We're grateful for where we're at right now. We're alone. We're learning all of these different aspects of life that we can be like, you know what I mean, relax and calmly. Because just like I was just about to use the word humble. And I'm like, no, bro, we can't say humble. But you know what I mean, relax and calm and see where all of what we're going through is actually helping us for the greater good. You know what I mean, where these different situations, you know what I mean, the roller coaster rides or whatever, the ups and the downs, is teaching us how to have this discipline and focus when the time comes for us to blow up big. You know what I mean? Because like, if you don't have that, you know what I mean, like that, the level of integrity it's gonna need later on. If you never go through certain things, you don't know what integrity is, you don't know what discipline is. You know what I mean? And I'm seeing that firsthand, like with so many people that are my peers, them right now in their 30s. Right now, like there's no discipline with people in their 30s, like even 40s or whatever the case is. Like there's no discipline, there's no respect for other people or nothing at all. Like for instance, a couple weeks ago when I was in Jamaica, we're in a social space in the insurance office, and a person is like on his phone talking loud, not busy about nobody in the place. And I'm looking at it like, where's that for you to, like, discipline yourself to understand, okay, cool, I'm in the social area, and I mean, I'm not gonna try to just be disrespectful to everybody in the space. And I'm looking at a grown man, actually in his 40s, like looking at him in my 40s, and I'm like, if you realize this, it goes to the society that we're living in. That, you know what I mean, people meet every day and they realize, oh, yo, why you so different? It's because of these different phases that we go through. You know what I mean, we teach us humility and, you know what I mean, how to just respect people, have gratitude. You see me, all of these different things that stripes we get on our shoulder to be on this level. A lot of people in this world don't have none of this, and if you don't meet them, you won't know. When you meet them, you'll be like, how you get to this age that you don't have these things? Like, this is not being taught. It wasn't taught in school. Most people in the society don't have anybody around them to enlighten them to any information. So there's just so many different aspects that we have to go through and deal with. So, you know what I mean? But I'm grateful for a show like this, is it me?
Yeah, man,
Grateful for a show like this on the platform, is it me? And I want to say thank you to the main host, as my twin brother Evil, you know what I mean, to really push this narrative. Because when you came up and you say, yo, let's do this together, and a lot of times, like, I'm not available to you, you know what I mean, be there with you to support you, and you alone have to stand the whole thing, and, you know what I mean, shoulder the whole effort and decide, you know what, even by myself, I'm going to do this. So for me, you know what I mean, had the opportunity to go step back and work on myself and do what I need to do to be here, to be using the platform is also a blessing. And I have to say respect for that.
Yeah, man,
No?
respect, bro, man. See you, man, isn't me? Yeah, man.
Definitely big up Twin
Yeah,
Supreme Radio Show.
Definitely.
It's definitely needed. It's definitely where someone is looking. You know, like you said, it's not taught. Unfortunately, you know, a lot of, you know, if your parents or, you know, there's someone close to you as you're growing up that is going to expose you to it. But at some point, you know, people are searching and people are looking. So it's a good platform and a good outlet for someone who's looking to expand their mind to understand and have good thought-provoking conversations that that are presented on the Twin Supreme Radio Show. So definitely big up to the Joe, the host and guest and co-host, you know, for everyone that participates in the chat. Because it's definitely a well-needed and well-appreciated platform.
Definitely. Yeah, man, just want to say thanks, man, to DJ Twin, man, and thanks to Latanya, CMA, for always being here, CMA, always being a supportive team, you know, members of the team who always show their gratitude, you know, their acceptance, CMA, their willingness, and the open mindset for learning and want to be a part of something that's already great and in the making, CMA. So, it's always great to show appreciation for the people who get in very early. You know, to say, hey, you know, I trust this process, I'm going to take a chance. Because, you know, a lot of people will never take a chance until they see that great boost, that great exposure, seeing me. Then everybody want to be a leech and be a part of something that's already great. When you could have be a part of something greater than yourself from way early, get in early and be a part of it from in the down stage. So you believe in it. It's just like having somebody come in your life, see you for your poor, believe in it, you know, say, yo, you know, so we can turn around a man, we can change in life, you know, we can improve him, you know. You see me, same way, you see me. And I same thing with evil woman, same way. So it happen from both aspect where somebody can come in your life and just see potential in you, see greatness in you. So a lot of time we as man, we never see what we never see what we got. We never see what in a we as man. But just the right female come along in your life, change your life like night and day.
Definitely. Yeah, you know, they always like on the relationship part of aspect of it, because, you know, that subject they touch it. You know, people always get their feelings over that part of it. But I think that even just on a relationship aspect, or, you know what I mean, I think on a unity aspect of people understanding that it's always been said, as me, united we stand and divided we fall. Is it me? So the whole team effort of people coming together and understanding this. And actually, somebody said this earlier on the week. I was listening to Derek Grace, you know, really articulated person, you know what I mean, stuff. And he actually said something that was like really eye opener. And I actually know this, but I wasn't even like looking so deep in it. He said, yo, a lot of times we as people think we can control or do things by ourselves. And we never really step back to realize this world that we live in is controlled and run by families. And we can look at it, go check out all these people that are making all these implementing all these rules over us. Who have the longest dynasty that rules over the land of many people, colonizing people,
right.
controlling people, ruling people. Is it? So if people start looking and paying attention, it's our families. Is it me? It's our families that do this, you know what I mean? If you look on that dynasty that is still even running right now, is look on Queen Elizabeth that passed. This is a person that run a whole great deal of the world for over 80 years. Imagine one person running a great deal of the world for over 80 years strong, going and talking about being a ruler, you know what I mean? Doing so many good and so many bad to so many people. And whatever the case is, but what they didn't do it alone, they do it as a unit, as a family. So we're not talking about, when they say family, it's not like direct family, like, oh, it got to be bloodline, but that unity that you create, you know what I mean, with other people socially. Is it me? You also become the family that you join. Is it me? So, and then people play different roles in the family. You have different level of leadership, you know what I mean, and things that people should look at. So we definitely, if we really are paying attention, we really need that level of unity when it comes down to like-minded people like ourselves, you know what I mean, to join the community and come along and, you know what I mean, expound and sharing information and whatever the case is. And there are a lot of reasons why we stick away from relationships, but when we share a point of view, that's why me share the perspective of a poly relationship as me, because in my aspect, a poly relationship is the unity that a strong leader like myself needs, because at the end of the day, if I'm depending on one female to put out so much energy into somebody that articulates so good, I have so much to give and so much ideas, like one person is not going to be able to do it for me personally, because I'm going to be giving too much work, you know what I mean, or expecting too much from that one female, because like for me, poly is not even about sex, because I can publicly say this, and it's not that I'm not interested in threesomes. Like, I've never had a threesome, and I'm a public figure, as a DJ, as a popular person all over the US, and I'm like, I'm not interested in it. And when I say poly, people feel like this is all about, like, you know what I mean? Most men want this because they want to have the status of, oh, me have 2 women or whatever, 3 women or whatever the case is. But I'm looking at it at the unity aspect of having great people around you that share their great ideas, that you share your great ideas with. And then y'all can be that one team or one unit. You know what I mean? Us where we can do, say, okay, cool, we all can come together and do this. Because at the end of the day, our unity is greater than one person at all times. And that's my stance when it comes down to the way we think as people. And if you look back in time, all great leaders are men that articulate properly, are well thinkers, always have multiple females around them, even if most of it is not even sexually, isn't it? Because females bring a certain energy that man feeds off of. Isn't it? So when you're that strong man, we can harness a female energy, you're going to have to do it, because like females are just naturally gravitated to you based on that masculine energy that you bring off. And then what you're going to do, like, bounce around from people to people and be hiding around? No, you can't do that. You just have to be straight up with people and let them know, say, okay, cool, I'm a magnet for a certain caliber of females that they're going to be attracted, because once they hear the level of articulation, they're going to be like, oh, okay, they're going to get curious. Once they get interested, now they're going to be like looking to you for ideas and empowerment. You see me? And that's something where female depend on great man for, or great thinkers for. You see me? And then your ideas and their ideas come together, you know what I mean, can create a magical moment in the world. What if you have a unit of, even like, look at how expensive it is right now, Latanya, to live in the US. Like, one person living in a house. What if you have a unit of, say, 3 people or 4 people living in one house in a relationship? And not just like sexually, just the unit relationship, right? And you have a bill of, say, $2,000 a month for your expense. You know how easy that is and great that is for that whole unit to hold that whole burden, versus one person taking up $2,000 and stressing themselves out. Why you think in this country we have so much dysfunctional anxiety and all these different depression and all these different things they put on people. It's because it is hard for people to live here. Because everybody go out here, you pay your rent, you pay your car note, you pay your insurance, and there's so much insurance. Renters insurance, woman's insurance, health insurance, all these level of insurance. I'm telling you, like living in the US, after you finish doing all this job, you give everybody, you share up the money to everybody else, and then you look in your hand and your hand is empty. Like the quote in America is like, at least my bills is paid, and then you go back and do that over and over again, and you're like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, in the past year, I'm looking, but this is mental madness. How I am the one going out and exerting all this energy, working to come home, to share my money to everybody else, and then left empty-handed. And the people you're giving the money are not the ones out there helping you to work. And I'm like, this don't make no sense. But actually, you live in the society, so what are you going to do? Have to come up with a formula, and the formula is unity. Instead of us as people living in this country, everybody want a 3-4 bedroom house for themselves, living in this big old space. They can't use only one space at a time. You get a big family, and you all just split the bills down the middle, divide the bill amongst everybody that lives in the household. You know what I mean? If a man want to have 2 women or whatever the case is, unite. Why not? Versus I live in this apartment and I'm sleeping with 2 women, and I sleep with this one and she appear for her when I rent, and she need help and resources from me, and the next one on the side need help and resources, and that person have to come up with their money. That person like that might equate to maybe $6,000 a month in bills. When we all could have pool together and come up with a bill of $2,000 and save that $4,000. So we have less anxiety, less depression, you know what I mean, and less stress to focus on after you give away all your money. So there's just so many different levels in unity that people need to look at, you know what I mean, until you revisit them things then and kind of get a greater understanding for it. Then most people not going to understand this conversation that we're having right now, and seeing how good it is for us to unite and be having these conversations, you know, creating the level of awareness and planting the seeds in people's minds so they can actually start thinking for themselves and be like, sound interesting. Just do some research on it. You know what I mean? I always focus on the message and not the messenger. That's my perspective in life.
Tanya.
Wow, so I should have a pen and paper to jot down some notes here. So many things that as I was listening and that you touched on. One thing is willingness, the word willingness, and being willing as individuals to be open-minded and open to different perspectives and different aspects. And also roots, our foundation, and where we come from, and family. Yeah, you have a whole family that you choose, which is wonderful, but don't negate your roots in the family, your bloodline, because that's important. And who you are, is part of who you are, is who you come from. And there's a significance in that. And even when it comes to the American lie, because so often I hear many people, and maybe it's my perspective, you know, I've living in America my entire life and visiting other countries, and I love to travel. But a lot of people want to come here because, yeah, it is a land of opportunity, but it's also a land of lies where you work your butt off. You work hard to get, you can succeed, and there's plenty of opportunities, but it doesn't come easy. And one thing that, speaking of, you know, you living here and working and paying bills, and you work to live, you know, you work, and at the end of the day you pay all your bills, and then you say, oh, okay, now I have just enough money to go to the restaurants are packed on Fridays and Saturday night. The mall is packed. You know, you have social media, you have all these influencers that you think you're supposed to pay $1,000 for a pair of shoes. Things like that, and you know, that you just work hard to get that money, and we give it away, and we become in debt, and we all for either a status symbol or because we deserve it, not realizing that the detriment sometimes that we're putting ourselves in. Going back to family and people and unity, when you see often Hispanic people can all live in one house by the numbers, and there's no problem. But for whatever reason, Black people, we want to live in a 5-bedroom house by ourselves and invite people over just for a day or two and come visit my house, but you can't stay here. And I look back at my own family, and I have to give thanks to my grandparents who they had a big home, but cousins, aunt, even my mother came and stayed in this house, where you have a family house. What happened to the family house? What happened to Big Mama house, where everybody comes and you stay there for your time. You don't. It's temporary. You come there to get on your feet. You come there as a step up, as a stepping stone. And for whatever reason, unity in the Black community, we have gotten away from that. We have gotten away from it. Whether if you choose to have a poly lifestyle, or you choose to have a family where at 18 you're not expected to get out. Now you're 18. Now you're grown. Now you can go and do it on your own. Now you go get your own place and pay bills. We have it all wrong. We've been lied to. We've been hoodwinked. We've been bamboozled. And if we could, as a people, unite, support one another, not be so quick to individualize. So often we just want to be, it's just about me, and when it becomes about us and my community and supporting my community, then we'll understand the power that we have together. Even our collective buying power, our collective voting power. There's so much power we have.
Black Americans are collectively one of the richest countries. Say if Black Americans was a country, is collectively would be one of the richest. There's the third or the fourth richest country in the world when it comes on to GDP, because the Black spending in America, the spending per Black people every year amounts to trillions of dollars that countries in the world does not even have, that have never spent. A whole country have never spent so much trillions of dollars a year that Black Americans spend every year. And I do understand it from a different perspective. I do understand it from a perspective of it's called escapism. It's like, I work so hard, I give away all my money. At least let me take a little bit to take a vacation. Let me go out to the restaurant just to enjoy myself. Let me go to the movies. Let me go to party just to, escape for a little bit. Because it's like a whole plantation mentality. It's like, okay, cool. Like, like I work all week in the sun. Like I get the Sunday to go to church. So that was the whole escapism mindset that we actually had. And then, like, I think they use the whole media, control media, like to create this narrative of dandling the carrots in front of Black people's eyes for so long, of the big house with the picket fence. And then Black people always wanted that without realizing there's never one person living in that big house with the picket fence. It's always a family. I think we interpret a lot of the information when it comes down to the big house with the picket fence. We kind of we wanted that for ourselves versus understanding that there's always a family in that house. We never actually got that part of the story. We just wanted to have that status quo of why we wear all these brands. Is like, okay, cool. Like you can't go cheap and people notice you. Like you have to exert a certain level that Black people notice. Black people don't notice like somebody having wealth and just being regular. It's not noticeable in our community, and we got to call a spade a spade. Like go
ahead.
It was just a status quo of the Benz symbol, the Mercedes, the BMWs, the Hardys, the Porsche, and all of that. And as you can see, it's still being glorified in front of our face, So all these different aspects is really us chasing to tell ourselves that we're getting on the level, and not understanding that true wealth is not in, showing off what you can do, but you actually doing things that you don't have to show nobody that you're doing.
Exactly.
So Latanya, you was about to say something, Latanya. Or to the extent.
No, I was just thinking about how powerful it is in a house to have generations. How you, if you had your grandmother that lived in the house with you and helped you with raise your children, and how, just having generations of family under one roof, not being so quick to just be by yourself, or there's nothing wrong with being by yourself. I'm an independent. I don't want to say that it like that, but I recognize my independence and my enjoyment of living alone, but also understanding how powerful it is, and when we can come together under one roof and unite, and for the cause of not only sharing bills, because that's an important part, but also sharing knowledge, wisdom, bring and instilling that in the youth.
Powerful. Those aspects could change a lot for us as black people, same here. Because that, you see, divided we fall, divided we scatter we wealth, same here. Because twin already expound upon the same way, Latanya expound upon it. But I same thing, we see same thing over and over again with peers, with family, friendship. Everybody want to do it on their own. Everybody want to take up the world and run with the world. Everybody want to know say them are alright, me have quarter world, me alone responsible. So how you alone go monitor or manage so much? When if all of we come together, then we would have way less work and way more time. Like Latanya expound on the Hispanic people, same way. When I same thing when I go Curacao, and I same thing with the Asian them. The Asian them they don't spread out, then come together and work together, and they achieve way more because they spend way less in terms of bills for food and everything same way. One man pray for go supermarket go spend 100 gillar like a we as Jamaican. We got a mango, so we want to spend 100 gillar like a we know so 100 gillar can full one trolley to bring. To the trolley wa wheel one papa off the amount of goods in it. And Asian them come together and the whole them put their money together and buy a little. This man buy that, man buy that, man buy that. And every day have everything and still have way more money down.
Still full of trolley.
Still full. Yes, they still get the objective.
Yeah, them still get the objective, and a lot of it is kind of systematically kind of set up, and we as people that we don't really pay attention, because even the fact even at Jamaica that you can look at so many people, like we glorify the big house because like this is something that was done in front of our faces like for years, like something that what I mean, like you couldn't have. And it's actually in our nature as people to what I mean, prove ourselves that I'm worthy. So technically it's not really a wrong thing, it's just the approach of or the way we're going about it, the single approach of me alone, what I mean, conquering the world, and thinking if I don't conquer the world, then what I mean, somebody else is gonna do it, and the world is going to be all filled up. But if you look at all the space in the world, all the people in the world can have a lot of land, and nobody don't even see each other, because there's so many space in the world, but we don't really realize that. And when you travel, you can see that like there's so many spaces in the world. When you up in the sky, look down, and you realize like just a few houses in our little segment, and the rest of the place are just bush. And when you're on the ground, you look like the whole place developed, but it's actually not. What I mean? There's so many space, but we actually don't see it from that aspect. And like everybody want to prove themselves to be that man. If versus all of us decided, what I mean, everybody going to have their time momentarily, like, okay, cool, it's your turn. And everybody going to come together and pull together and make sure so you get what you need. And then after you get it, then you pass on the baton or whatever the case is. But I think like this whole selfish mentality that black people has,
But twin,
what I mean, of thinking, yeah.
stick up in. Me just want take the time out to say they use the word button, right?
Mm-hmm.
And button that would associate with relay, right?
Yeah. Chain reaction.
Chain reaction,
That
right?
keep on moving around, so you pass it on.
Me like say you use the word because you know so just a while ago something come to me say me say we generation get with this far in terms of you look on if you say me alive, same me, you alive, same twin, same me, all of we alive right now, what our mother and our father. Right, that's a free generation reach. And we reach, that's so with all our ancestors them fight for. And all I work with them put in, all I suffering with them go through a free time now. And if we give up now, we feel all of them work.
Definitely, definitely. That's exactly what it is. It's like if you go back to the millions of years of slavery and oppression and everything, and ask yourself, how did you get here? It was all the survivors that contribution for us, everybody here on the planet right now. You know what I mean? We've been through the hardship and whatever the case is. We're a result of their resilience for them, you know what I mean, their strength, if you really want to call it, yeah. We here because of their strength, you know what I mean? And all they have to went through and all the endurance that they endure, all the beating and the suffering and everything. We're all a byproduct of that, but most people don't break it down and see it like that. That is the reason why we have this miscommunication in our life, or this disconnect that people think, yo, I'm a separate entity by myself. Like, oh, well, I'm here and then I get to make my own decision on how it is. Most people are not looking through the lens of what we're seeing right now to look like, wait, did people go through thousands of years, hundreds of years of suffering, and then they had kids and had kids and had kids to make me be here, for me to be a byproduct? It's just like I'm saying, money is a byproduct of your actions. We are a byproduct of those people actions. And then we are coming here, and one of the things that hurt me the most is to hear people saying, yo, I don't want kids. I don't care about the generation. His generation stop with me. And I'm like looking at it like, yo, everybody is different, you know. Some people have challenges or whatever the case is. But for the people that are physically able and say, yo, they don't care, is one of the most hurtfulest thing you can ever do to a generation. Imagine all your ancestors them coming back from millions of years and looking at you be like, bro, I did that for you. And you're telling me you are going to be the one to cut it all off and don't even care about give up on all my sacrifice. This is the true definition of what they're talking about, of eternal life. We are the mortal eternal people living right now, and the only way to do it is doing it the traditional way of how it's always been done, of continent and passing on the baton, of us deciding, okay, I know I'm not going to be here forever. Let me do my part. Let me play my part, because everybody else before us did that for us. And we are willing to stand right here and say, well, guess what? We don't care about that. Think about the legacy that they had to create through all the difficulty and hardship. Like conversations like these are not being had. Like most people are not even thinking like logically. Most people in the world I learn right now don't even think. They're not even realizing like, wait, how did I get here? Like, you know, my parents didn't just get here for without nobody's work. It was two people coming together working for them, and then it was two people before them and two people before them and two people. That's why if you look on the whole aspect of a family tree, you realize look on a regular tree. Look on a regular tree. You see this big old tree full of leaf. All of the leaf them fall off, and then new leaf come, and then fall off, and new leaf come, and it's an over cycle that never ends. Because by the time this a tree ever dead, that tree, the same tree already drop a seed or ground, or throw a seed somewhere else, or a bird come pick a fruit of that same tree and pass it out in a feces and plant it at the ground somewhere else, and that same tree generation continue.
Yeah. Same so you go, bro. Sometimes we eat off of one tree and we not realize we are eat off of this tree and we are eat off of 10 different trees and realize the same tree we are eat off of in a some way, some form, because of all I see them plant in a different location. But if I see them vine, you see me? And we not understanding that as human beings is totally failure for us to think naive, dumb enough to say, you know, I am willing to give up on all that has been done
For me to be here. But they're not looking at it from that perspective. They're looking at it like, oh, you know what I mean? Well, I don't want to do all this, you know what I mean?
Tanya. Oh, internet. I don't know what going on with the internet, but me come like me call of them gone for. My Jackie, big up yourself, see me, all everybody on TikTok, thank you so much. All everybody on YouTube, thank you so much for being here. So, I think call in. Sorry about that, my people. We see me can catch what me get them. See them here, you see. Yeah. Almost time to put a wrap on it. Mhm. Yeah, DJ Twin, Latanya. Alright, sorry about that. I don't know what going on, but I drop off a line a while ago.
Yeah, we're still here.
But yeah, but understanding who we are and where we come from, to making the next generation even better.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I think we already know where we're going, and I think what we're not looking at as people is that our purpose here is actually to prepare our generation to come. You know what I mean? Because our parents' generation prepared us, and it's for us to, you know what I mean, learn. And I think a lot of it is that we have more information than them, and to look and understand that a lot of what they were supposed to teach us, they didn't, because they didn't know better. And this is like the part of evolution of us coming, you know what I mean? And upbringing the generation to a whole different level. And I'm actually experiencing this. I'm not sure everybody, like, I'm a Pan-Africanist, like, mentally, and I've never been to Africa where I want to go so bad. And I'm seeing people in my peers are having a whole different level of understanding when it comes down to how they want to guide their own lives. And I'm loving it so much. Like, it's just so important to see, like, oh, what's happening in the world right now, of how African people are raising up and waking up and be like, wait. Our generation did this for so long, and we're not going to keep on passing on the same button. We're not going to keep on doing it. So
we want tiny line. We are situ. I want time.
Oh. Well, on the DJ thing, me tell us say upon that a WhatsApp, but me upon YouTube, you see me, same way. So a YouTube, go upon YouTube, you can jump in the chat. Twin Supreme Radio Show upon YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. So you show this are live. You show me I do live right now actually on YouTube. See me, so just go live for TikTok audience. Tune in, see me, who don't know about it. See me, Twin Supreme Radio Show on YouTube. That is the channel. So you can go over there, go like, share, subscribe. First time viewer, first time subscriber, automatically when I click off their choice.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
You need to show me that. You need to send me that.
Alright, hold on, I'm go drop your name. For fun. Alright.
yeah, and also you can pin, you have a moderator or somebody from
no moderator no there, so go drop it. Continue to it.
Kinda lost me thought a while ago. I can explain a little bit and where we get them thoughts.
Yeah, you were talking about Pan-Africanism and talking about us coming together as a people and just that unity of understanding who we are as a people and the power that we have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That level of power that we're seeing right now, is something that I'm blown away by. Really, really blown away by, because of like the journey that we have been through, and we actually blame our people them, like, for all the stuff they didn't do, not understanding they couldn't do it. And when I say couldn't do it, people are like, why they couldn't? But if you look on life from the aspect of understanding that somebody cannot give you something they don't have, it's more easier for you to relate. Like, it's like in this generation, you have people asking you for love, and they don't know what love is. They don't have love, but they're asking you for it, not understanding if somebody only got $5 in their pocket and you ask them for $10, they can't give you 10 because they don't have it. It is that simple. People not understanding loyalty. Somebody cannot give you something they don't have. People are asking for respect. Somebody don't have respect, they can't give you it. And I think, in my opinion, these things should even be given. These things should be shared, because if you have something and you give it away, that means you deprive yourself of it.
Right.
So you depriving yourself of what you have is actually not an intelligent way to actually do things. You know what I mean? That's just my perspective on it. And you know what I mean? Also, it just come back to understanding the things that we wanted to get from our parents. That we are just continuing on and uplift the work that they did. They make it to a certain level that, okay, cool, they didn't have as much information as us. You know what I mean? To break down, to articulate, to understand, to dissect. And then that's the part of the journey that I am in. And I have always said this earlier on to my twin brother, like, this is part of my journey. I always make this my foundation or my purpose, is to empower my family to a different level when it comes down to, you know what I mean, how we look at things, and the level that we reach in terms of success, and not just financial success, but mental success. I've always be championing that in my family for years. And I just love to let people know that, you know what I mean, we as people have to keep on pushing the envelope at all times, as people, to keep on, you know what I mean, having these conversations to empower ourselves and each other, and understanding that, yo, this is our challenge to keep the generation going on. Like, a lot of people will be like, oh, you know what I mean, this is too much, or whatever the case is, but like, we definitely have to do this and keep it pushing, you know?
So, yeah, man, respect for that, man. Same way. Yeah. Appreciate the conversation the DJ took, same way. We just hope say the viewers them same way really have an open mind to understanding what it is, same way. Like, we as people to know say this is a journey and this never start away. Because if it were start away, most definitely we wouldn't there if we start at same way, and a lot more people who were there if we were at the front of the relay, the hand over the button. Just imagine if all our people will know, I say, they now go continue the generation of life same way by playing their individual role. Same way. Who are look for the future to say, you know much people, you know much great people are gonna miss their opportunity just because then great granny give up, then great grandpa give up before same way give up on them, give up on all our legacy. Me think one of the greatest feeling in our life, if you can be in a one room as a father, as a mother, and look for your pitney them and all your grand pitney them same way. Because sometimes one or one, so most of the time one or one two somebody, when it all said and done same way, and they all them alone in a room with all 60, 70, 80 people, where they come from these two people alone same way, from pitney to grand pitney to great grand pitney, and some of them even so active where all have great, you see me, in the room.
Yeah.
So me think that one of the greatest accomplishment somebody could have ever have in their lifetime. To really can say, yo, I'm proud of myself, you know. Trust me.
It really truly is. When we reach Jamaica, like my grandmother said to me, say, yo, call me, man, to share a number, and she said, yo, come see me. And it was just like a off feeling in a moment where like she look for me and she look for my daughter and she look, oh, I daughter this, I'm a great grandparent this, and she's just a look and she just feel excited and to share that feeling with Eve, you know what I mean, being there for daddy birthday and seeing like, you know what I mean, the joy you feel if you can hug up in kids them and take picture with we, and then we had the same moment with our mom, like the following Sunday after where she called me and I say, yo, you know what I mean, well, if you come. And it was just a moment where she couldn't come a river with the come chill and what she do. Once she hears the blacks are come, she go out her way if you cook us a meal like with mother, we are all grown people. My mother last child, little sister was 30, they got 31. And our mom going out her way if you cook a meal and decide say you want have all on here so and we just go eat, I go share and feed all on my kids them and we go up and take picture and just talk, and it was just that moment like really look on him and be like, even me I tell my brother, me I say, yo bro, let's go see mommy because like this means so much to her, and that level of joy when me can see from my mother's face, like it was just pure honest joy. And I'm like, it kind of made me realize like we all as people realize that we have a duty. We all have a duty. And the reason why all of us is here is because somebody else before us did their duty. It might not be perfect for most people, you know what I mean? We all go through different level of trauma. Some people, like me personally, I can't say I've ever been to anything that but any harshness or anything in my life because my parents, I still have my parents up until today. But like some people have been through some real hardship, but somebody still did something for you to be here despite anything that you have been through. And I think that is the ultimate gift that anyone can have on this earth.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
so
And for all who can to play their part. Yo.
Kiki, Kiki, when I ask if it's about parents and those who do not want to have children, I tell her, I said, no. Basically, we are talking about the legacy. No, Lana? That's what I said. I try to make she understand. So basically, we are talking about the legacy same way of all that has been done long before us. To say, you know, when a free time as to just in the export same way, why wouldn't we want to play our individual roles to say, you know, we want to continue a race because if it wasn't for all that sacrifice, for all those, because you know, look how much generation before us sacrifice make. So we could have there. So our parents could have there before even we. Our parents could have decided to say, yo, you know, say the great, all those greats continue were not playing their roles and did what they should have and do what they could have do at the time because a lot of our ancestors was in a worse position than us as people right now at this present time in our free life versus freedom life. A lot of us decide not to participate or play our roles because of financial situation because we look on the aspect of the financial part, not realizing to say when certain situation arrive, then I guess it put we in a certain position to make life itself. To make we as people change first because if something to change in your life, you have to first change. And then in a certain situation, I guess life push you to the brink of change. Latanya?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I can't hear.
Yeah. I think what we can do is give her like aside Latanya, just give Kiki a overstanding of where the conversation is coming from. The conversation is coming from the topic. If you're seeing the topic, so what you should have done is giving her the topic, of understanding who we truly are as people, and that actually this is a part two to the conversation of understanding if we understand who we truly are as people, and this is where part two actually brought us of looking deeper in terms of asking ourselves so many questions of how did we get here and like what did it take for us to get here, and like it's just going in depth in conversation to really be looking and be like, oh wait, like it's go really deeper than we really think. Because if you really look funny, like we gone way past time, and then this is a need a part 3 if we continue.
Yeah, we
If
got
even
way
look on
past time.
this part of the topic, of understanding that, okay, cool. If you really look funny, like we're coming from far for us to be here, because if every one of us here right now, we're coming from the people that survived all the traumas and atrocities and everything that life have ever thrown at them. You know what I mean? And we have to be grateful for that, because if it wasn't for them surviving everything they went through, we wouldn't be here, because we're just a byproduct of them. And I think like,
Yep, that's
go ahead, Latanya.
yeah. It's part of going back to the topic, as you were saying, of who do we really know who we are, and can we truly know who we are if we don't know where we've come from, and we don't understand, and not just from our ancestors that left the continent, but just going back to understanding who our parents are, who their parents are, and their parents. And the conversation brought us to understanding the generations of where we come from and the sacrifices that were made. And are we willing to make this sacrifice, not only to understand who we are, but understand our contribution to the community, so that we can unite and come together to make the next generation even better?
Definitely.
All right, so DJ Twin, Latanya Love, CM TikTok, we go there on TikTok for a minute, so TikTok people, I'm not talking. But over YouTube now, so YouTubers, CM we gone long over time, CM just appreciate you guys for coming out tonight, Monday night, CM being a part of the show. Really, really grateful for you guys and everybody who come and stay, because that tells a lot about coming and staying. Not just coming on the live, but staying on the live. Showing that appreciation, seeing me, isn't me? Being a part of the live by communicating, seeing me, texting in the chat, seeing me, but I big up yourself, what them, Vicky, isn't me? Tim, big up yourself, seeing me, Ryan, everybody who passed through. Really grateful for you guys, but take a time out right now for the Latanya and DJ Twin. A last word to say on YouTube for the people and for this week's show.
All right. Well, thanks again. Thank you for the outlet, for the platform, for the space, and for the sense of community here. One of I think a couple times we touched on being alone with yourself and starting with yourself and loving yourself. It's going to all start with you to be a better part of the community, and understanding self-love and being able to then share that love with those around you. So I just want to say thank you for this time, for this space, for the conversation, and take some time alone with yourself to contemplate and to think about who you are. Who am I as a person? Who am I as part of the community? What piece of the puzzle am I? How do I fit in for the greater good?
Definitely. Powerful one. Definitely you too. Big up on yourself. Big up Latanya. DJ too.
Yeah, for me it would be something similar, but I would approach from the aspect of contribution. Like thinking about the contribution that others made for us, and then what's the contribution we need to make for others. Because life is a chain reaction, and as we used the term earlier, a relay and stuff. So it's a cycle that goes around. So we need to think about the contributions before us, and then think about what's the contribution we are going to make, or what we need to do. To push that envelope to make sure it doesn't stop with us, and for us to teach our future generation that, hey, listen, you have a duty, and the duty is to make sure everybody else before you feel proud and be grateful that you continue what was started. So it's definitely contribution for me. and thing. But I already seen that a couple of people are over YouTube, so I'll TikTok, so I'll get myself settled and then join on TikTok and think we can, politic further on as Kiki and same way. So she's a good articulator also, so we can politic further on the topic.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate everybody who turned out tonight. Same way. So, my YouTube family, big up on yourself, same way. All of you wanna join the channel yet, just be a member by going and subscribing and liking. Share your thoughts, share your comments on the shows, on the topics. Yeah, man, I tell one of things, same way. Yeah, man, thank you for being here. But I big up yourself. Yeah, man, respect all of who's still there. Make it this far to the end. So bless up on yourself, same way, isn't it? Yeah, man, it was a pleasure having you guys here. YouTubers, pleasant good night. You hear me? Yeah, man. We go over TikTok a little bit. We'll have a conversation. Yeah, man. Omar, you doing? I TikTok, man. Yeah, man. Big up on yourself. Good night, my people. Until next time.
Respect
Next
to the
week,
work
same
linked to Supreme
place.
for the show.
Yeah, man. Bless you.
With that being said,
Good night. Yes, festival.
My respect. Alright. YouTubers, check me out over TikTok. Alright, me